I gotta be careful. They're watching me. One thing I've realized about this life, guys, is not everyone out here is a playable character. It seems like so many people are programmed. So I'm gonna give you guys 5 signs that you're dealing with an NPC, because not everyone can be player 1 out here. First sign, NPCs do not like to question their own reality. Now, I believe this actually comes from a defense mechanism. When you are used to being programmed by society and the lies and the whitewashing, what happens after a lot of time is that the truth, even though it's the truth, it becomes uncomfortable for them. So because of this, if you point out, let's say, a reality to an NPC, even if it's the truth, but it just, maybe it stings or maybe it's harsh, not really harsh, but it's just the truth. And the truth isn't always nice, but you point this out to the NPC, they are going to attack you. It's like a program, a defense mechanism. So guys, like, this is why it's so important to watch who you're around, because you want to be around people who are going to tell you the truth. NPCs will lie straight to your face because they don't want to upset you, or they don't want to, which seems noble on the surface, but it's doing long-term damage, because the truth is always beneficial, because with the truth, we can then move forward and do the right thing because we have the right information. And I noticed, man, like it was early, like when I was in school at the sitting down in the classrooms, there was always that kid who would raise his hand and just be like, hey, why are we learning this? Why are we learning advanced algebra? Am I ever going to use this? Calculus? Like, when am I going to use this in my life? And instead of just answering his question, I always noticed the knee-jerk reaction of the students in the class. They always tore him down. They always try to slit his throat. And I'm like, whoa. Even the teacher. Hey, I'm teaching here. Like, I'm like, dang, we can't even ask questions. And I learned that very young. And people never really drop these habits, guys. Like, if you ask questions about this reality, even if it's justified, you will be attacked. And it's the NPC programming. Sign 2, guys, they're very critical when you begin to break the status quo. Now, it could be something simple. I'm in Boston, so there's a silent status quo of like, you need to move at a certain pace when you're in the city. I take my time. I walk very, very slow, and you'll just get these dirty looks because you're breaking the silent status quo. You're not in a rush. You're not filled with anxiety. You're taking your time. So when you go against the status quo, NPCs get very upset. When you walk around with confidence in a world where people are destroyed, anxious, you are going to make them angry. When you are willing to get your sources of information from different media outlets, you are going to make people very angry. You're not watching CNN, Fox News. What's wrong with you? It's like, sorry, I don't know. Maybe I just am not in the mood for my brainwashing session today. When you start to do things just differently, maybe you put the milk in before you put the cereal in, whatever. Like, it doesn't affect my life. The NPC, they cannot get over that. What? You, huh? Not saying I do that, but the NPC, when you do things, anything against the norm, they attack you. They attack. And it's all a defense mechanism. So tying into that second point I made, they only get their information predominantly from mainstream sources of information. And this is very dangerous because a lot of these mainstream sources of information the NPC relies on are unreliable. Let's take ESPN, for example. Their job is to actually analyze sports, report on sports. What do they spend most of their time doing? Gossiping and bickering about the players, tearing other people down. And I just think it's so harmful when NPCs, they aren't able to consider alternative sources of information to get what they want. They always are so tethered to mainstream sources of information, and it's very dangerous when these mainstream sources of information let you down. The news really should be giving unbiased reports, but they always have agendas, right? Stuff like that. And the NPC, because they're not able to see these things, they become an extension of these outlets. They literally are being programmed. So when I think about like sports, A lot of people don't know there's random average Joes on YouTube that break down these sports better than any of these mainstream outlets ever could. They actually talk about the sport. They talk about the plays. I don't know the last time I heard ESPN break down a play. Like break down, okay, this is what happened on this possession. They do it from time to time, but it's certainly not the norm. And guys, you've got to be willing to get your information from a different source. Like I learned this, you know, very early on. I'm like, what they say they're supposed to be doing, they're not actually doing. They're just trying to get views. They're just trying to increase drama, tension, but it's not making the world a better place and it's not bettering your life, right? But the NPC, they just believe so much in their news, right? Like they always, oh, I gotta be on Fox, I gotta be on CNN. So when it comes to the NPC, guys, they're an extension of these mainstream outlets of information, and they echo the same sentiments that these outlets do. Now, number 4 really breaks my heart. I mean, I'm damn near gonna cry telling you guys this, but they get critical of you when you try to improve your life. Like when you say, all right, it's time to man up. All right, it's time to be who I need to be. They are the first people to be critical of you, to tear you down. And this is a lot of people because it's not necessarily that people want to see you doing bad, but a lot of people don't want to see you doing better than them. And it's NPC programming, because you got to understand, the NPC inherently sees themselves as a background character in the span of life. So because of this simple worldview, they cannot comprehend when you start to see yourself as a character in life, as someone who can actually do something. So they actually are the first ones to attack you, because if they were to accept you could do something, think about it. They'd have to accept that they haven't been doing anything. So I noticed this about the NPC. They kind of tear you down and discourage you from your dreams, because if they accept that what you can accomplish is possible, they accept that they haven't been doing anything. And it's not necessarily something that they have to do. They can take ownership, accountability, but they won't do that because it's uncomfortable for them, guys. What is up with the Matrix right now? Oh shit. Okay. The last point. NPCs are very, very concerned about what people think of them. Now, we have to be concerned about our perception to an extent, right? I'm a believer in image. I think image matters. But the NPC takes this to a different level. They borderline are paralyzed because they don't want to take any sort of action that can be bold, that can propel their life in a positive direction, because they're worried about what other people are going to say. But what the NPC doesn't realize, that the player character does realize, is that bold action might be uncomfortable. People are going to judge you. However, people are always going to have something to say, even if you don't do anything. Even if you choose to be the most background character ever, someone's going to have an opinion about you that might not be favorable. So the player character realizes this and faces the world with courage, with zest. But the NPC, they just don't get it. They just don't get it. I mean, there's a lot of people in my life, I'm going to be honest with you, I tell them I'm going to do this drastic action, or I tell them I'm going to get after this goal. And instead of encouraging me, what they do is talk about the cons or what could go wrong with it. And it's a very NPC mindset. It's a very NPC attribute to criticize when someone is going to start to step out of their shell and do something uncomfortable. So I want you guys to really understand the people you're around make a huge difference, because if you're around the wrong people, you'll never be aware of your gifts. They're never going to tell you how elite you are at something. They're not going to tell you what you need to do next. And they're not going to tell you, number one, just do whatever you want to do. Like, put your best foot forward. I'm never going to discourage you guys. I'm never going to tell you guys anything isn't possible. You know why? Because I believe with enough hard work, determination, and belief in oneself, anyone is capable of becoming a true champion. It's Dipsy, guys. This is the video for today. 5 signs you're dealing with the NPC. Make sure you guys do something positive today. Be a player character. This is your story. This is your journey, guys. Don't let anyone discourage you. Don't let the opinions of others break you down. This is your life. You're the final boss, bro. You are the final boss. You might be level 1 right now, but it's like All you got to do is get your XP up. That's it. I'll catch you guys later, man, and peace out.